Is this the legendary settle?
Yes.
Headmistress's office?
Yes.
Old Swindle study?
Yes.
Right. Let's take my seat then. Await my doom. It's my first time here. Doubt it'll be my last though. Probably become my second home. They say I was a holy terror in junior school. Always up to no good. Surprised they let me into grammar school.
Did you pass your 11 plus?
Yes.
You shouldn't be surprised then.
It was my form's fault. They dared me to do it. I told them, don't dare me to do anything because I'll just do it. Can you guess what I did?
Got caught in the bowling alley on the way back from games.
No.
Climbed out the window during double maths to run around the building and come in the door again.
No.
Was a prefect in your form room rubbish basket?
No, I came to school in white socks, not the regulation grey ones, like yours.
Wow, that must have taken some real courage.
Oh, it did, Well, why are you here then?
Do you mean today? Or the rest of the year?
Well,
last term, Miss Seacombe caught me snugging my boyfriend by the school gate. She said, "God, what are you doing?" And he said, "What does it look like we're doing, you daft bats?" So I told Miss Swindells that he'd followed me back from the market. And she asked one of the prefects to walk me to the bus stop after school and made me promise to tell my mother. Last week I made a rope of school scarves with a glove on one end. We dangled it out the window during biology so the class below would see it. But it swung in front of Miss Bent's office window and she thought there was an intruder climbing up the drain pipe and called the police. Today, when Miss Hughes left the classroom to get a book and Mr. Cadman came in and said, "Where's Miss Hughes?" So I said, "On your feet." They didn't laugh, which was surprising because at Christmas, when Linda had one of those little electronic laughing bags and it wouldn't stop whining, we told Mr. Cadman it was her hearing aid. And for the rest of the lesson, he spoke really loudly and clearly to her. When we told him afterwards it was a wind-up, he thought it was really funny.
How come you're still here?
She's got 2 first formers in with her. 3 days late back from PE.
No, I mean, why haven't you been expelled?
Well, I'm top of my form in Latin translation, English, geography, history, and home economics.
But what about the punishment?
Detentions and lines. The worst bit is when Miss Swindells plays the guilt card about being disappointed and not upholding the standards of our beloved school. I always nod and look a bit tearful and thank her for giving me a second chance. Then I tell her that my Auntie Teresa, who left in 1955, still asks about her. If I were you, say your mum's been poorly and your nan bleached your socks by mistake. Don't worry, they won't tell your parents, so there won't be any awkward questions. But you haven't got the guts or the brains to be a serial offender, so you better just take the consequences and knuckle down till your O-levels.
You could teach me.
No, that's what this lot are here to do. Besides, you can't teach talent. If you get given lines, check the wastebasket when the teacher leaves. They usually bin them. Saves you writing about a second time.
It's all right, he's gone. Come on.
Well, that was a close one.
Nah, Eric's all right.
Call all your teachers by the first names, do you?
It's a nickname. Eric's Mr. Jones. We call him after Eric Morecambe because he's always telling bad jokes.
Well, his timing's not as good as Eric Morecambe's. He nearly caught us.
We were only snogging. Anyway, I'm up as 6. They don't care as long as we turn up to lesson and pass our exams.
Yeah, right.
I'm serious. At dinner times, we nip down the old canal towpath and go to the pub. No uniform, you see. And if we go after school, we have a chat with some of the teachers. Too tight to buy us a pint, though.
I can't see that happening at the girls. Mrs. Thompson had a party at her house once, but we only got pop and cake.
That's because they treat us like adults, not kids.
Yeah, well, they wouldn't if they knew you had daft nicknames for them.
Yeah, we'd probably get caned.
Seriously?
Yeah, by Slug. That's Mr. Bruce, our headmaster. He's all right. He was a code breaker in the war. Keen on discipline, but fair. You gotta watch some of them though, like Gemma Yeti. That's Mr. Nelson. He's got a temper and a weird sense of humour. I remember one time he was explaining the verb frappe, to strike, and he slapped my mate on the head, and he got my mate to slap me on the head, and then we all had to slap each other on the head.
That's horrible. You should report him.
No point. They've been getting away with it for years. They reckon some of them have been here since the war. They say it's made a bit of them a bit, funny. You just gotta think of ways to outsmart them. Like, in 5th year, we got some new plastic bins and we was playing rugby in ours, and it cracked. So when we heard Mr. Headland coming, we put it on top of the door because he likes to impress us and wants to look tough. I'm rough, I'm tough, and I don't miss much. So when he opened the door and it fell on him, he flinched and then, BAM! Drop kicked it across the classroom. Jonesy caught it and went, "Oh, sir, you've broken it."
Well, what about Mr. Cassidy? He seems all right in rehearsals.
Oh yeah, Hopalong's great. He was the one who introduced creative writing. The proper stuff, not the let's write about our weekend. And he sorted out the 6th form buildings.
We've got a library and a common room in the annex. It's only an old prefab, but it's away from the rest of the school at least.
Ours is in Hall House, built in the 1600s or something.
You're having me on.
Yeah, it's meant to be haunted by some dead bloke and a kid. Mr. Cassidy's got it kitted out with old armchairs, and he lets us make coffee and toast marshmallows. We put up pictures and paintings. We've got a card house, and he even lets us smoke in there.
You're just making all of this up to try and impress me, aren't you?
Why? Do I need to? You seemed pretty keen on me up there. Why don't we carry on where we left off?
Not here. It's all right for you. If we get caught, you'll just get caned or patted on the back for being a bit of a lad. But it'll be just the excuse my mum and dad are looking for. They're desperate for me to quit 6th form.
Why? Do they not want you to go to uni?
Do they, Eckers, like? They were gutted when Miss Smart told them I should stay on. She said, "Eileen, you can be anything you want to be." My mum wants me to be a secretary at the cable works. She said you don't need A-levels to get married and have kids.
Wait, what?
Don't be daft. I'm not looking to settle down until after I've been to uni.
Good, because I'm planning on becoming an actor.
An actor? Why?
Why not? We're both in the drama group, aren't we?
Yeah, but I only joined to meet lads.
Lads.
Well, you obviously, but I've no interest in being on the stage.
I am. Mr. Cassidy said he'd help me apply to RADA. But do not tell anybody else in the show.
Why not? Are you worried what your mum and dad might say?
I'm more worried about what the rugby lads might say. I dread to think what my nickname would be.
Well then, I might need some persuading.
Now that can be arranged.
Yeah, well you'll have to tackle me first.
Oh, hang on. Duty calls. I'll see you at rehearsal.
Did you see her face? I thought she was going to explode.
Who has misappropriated my thermos flask?
It's a minefield in there. Don't sit in Marjorie Barnes's chair. Don't move very use the sellotape. Don't disturb the bridge club.
Bridge club?
Haven't they asked you to join yet? Barbara Moore asked me on my first day. I panicked and said it was against my religion to gamble.
Is it?
No, I've been taking bets all week on how long it would take you to crack. I've been looking forward to having a good moan with another newbie.
Newbie? I thought you'd been here a couple of years.
I have. That's nothing compared to this lot. But at my previous school, the average age of the teaching staff was 27. Here it must be nearer 67.
I think you might be exaggerating a bit there.
All right, but even on first impressions, you've got to admit they're an odd bunch.
Slightly eccentric, perhaps.
In my first term, Elaine Edwards came in with her hair dyed bright green and said, "This should silence the fourth form." Marjorie Hughes spends half the English budget on sellotape in an effort to save every textbook forever. And last week, Norma Seacombe, who's old enough to be Napoleon's girlfriend, took junior assembly in a gown and red wellies. And it wasn't even raining.
Well, it might have been when she set off. Did you know she catches 2 buses to get to Leigh from Radcliffe? I saw her on the 582 reading Le Figaro in French. I heard she went to Oxford University.
Probably came straight here afterwards. Most of the staff are spinsters. I'm not even sure some of them go home at night. They probably just throw a sheet over them in the staff room.
They're always talking about things they've been to, concerts, lectures, the theatre and the Old Girls Association.
It's all a bit last century though, isn't it? More Mallory Towers than the prime of Miss Jean Brodie. And he's shaking up a bit. Some of them seem to have given up altogether. One of my sixth formers told me that a certain teacher, who shall remain nameless, tells them to read a chapter in a textbook, then copy it into their exercise books, while she sits at the front and crochets.
They're not all like that. What about Mrs. Freeman? Yesterday, she brought in a cow's heart, lungs and esophagus to explain respiration. Well, half the class fainted, but that's a lesson they'll never forget.
Like old Cadman's briefcase, which he regularly leaves on the roof of his car, then drives off. 3 times this week I've had to rescue it for him. What must this teaching be like?
I don't think we can judge without seeing.
Barbara Moore does. She's the only teacher I know who can write on the blackboard, back to the class, then suddenly throw a wooden board duster over her shoulder and hit whoever's talking.
Well, discipline's a very personal thing though, isn't it? I mean, what about Miss Smale? She doesn't need to raise her voice.
Audrey is amazing.
She glides down the corridor like a majestic galleon in full sail. And then there's Miss Smart.
Yes, Beryl's brilliant. Although I was a bit worried when I first met her at my interview. She said they needed help with the bulge and she'd explain it all in the showers.
Pardon?
The population bulge. And as I discovered, these particular showers were turned into a classroom years ago. That one next door.
Oh yeah, we used to call it the showers too. This building's always been too small though. When I was in the sixth form, we used to have lessons in the old rectory.
You came here?
Yeah. Oh, I can't get used to going into the staff room, and every time I use someone's Christian name, I think I'm going to get a detention.
Have I broken some ancient code of honour? Will I be tied to the netball post like the first formers and forced to sing the school song?
No. As Miss Jean Brodie says, give me a girl at an impressionable age and she is mine for life. Well, that's how a lot of us old girls feel about our beloved LGGS. But I'll do you a deal. I won't tell any of the staff what you've just said about them. If you don't tell Mrs. Owen, it was me that hid a flask.
You didn't! Why?
We all need shaking up a bit sometimes. Hey, come on, hitch up your skirt. Let's see who Miss Swindells calls into her office first.